What's up, everybody? This is episode 19 of the Pitside podcast. I'm here with my good friend Roger Craig. Tonight, we've got a very special guest for you. We've got Donovan Ross. He has joined us for the show. It's an excellent interview, so we're going to get started here in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Pitside Podcast, where we discuss the latest news and developments in the G-Force Racing League, as well as other racing news inside and out of iRacing. Now here's your hosts, the A-Lit Outlaw, Preston Cranmer, and Roger, the Bassman Craig.
Yeah, so we're back here again. Like I said, this is episode 19. We talked last week about how that number just keeps growing. I guess that's how it goes, but it's gotten away from us a little bit, I think. We planned this, and I guess we just planned to do it every week, but at some point, I don't know if we realized that we would just keep going like this. So it's
it flows so easy. Like, at least from your or my perspective, it's our one chance each week to kind of talk to each other and get caught up on what's going on and what's pissing us off and what's been great and all that sort of stuff. So
it's a lot like a therapy session. It really is. And so I was just kind of laughing about this right before we started. Was Roger and I we film all these segments separately and get ourselves prepared, and it makes editing a lot easier. But we'll talk 2 or 3 minutes on a segment here before we lead into an interview. But there's about 10 minutes between where Roger and I are just chewing the fat, catching up on stuff. So it's the podcast may seem like it's getting longer and an hour and a half long, but it takes closer to 3-4 hours for us to get all our thoughts out and just catch up on things.
Yeah. You guys, believe me, we're not putting you through all the pain. You're only getting part of the pain. So.
Well, and that was another thing we mentioned was how we don't have like thousands upon thousands of viewers, but we've got some really loyal followers, I guess, that watch the podcast every week. So I'll issue a challenge. If there's anybody out there who can claim that they've seen every week, put your name in the comments, because I'm interested to know how many people have watched every single week of the podcast. And quite frankly, the fact that you're still watching, we're doing pretty good then, I guess.
Yeah. Or if nobody replies, we already know how good we're doing.
Yeah, that's true. We might have just really embarrassed ourselves.
I gotta ask, how was your week? How's your week been on the track?
Yeah, it's not been bad. I think I've had some disappointments here and there. It's been a tough season. I think maybe I mentioned that last week or the week before. The competition level's gotten higher. There's been a lot more contact. I think, well, maybe not a lot more, but the contact level has increased some this season. It depends on division, of course. I think you can talk a little bit about this, but I think the street stock division has proved to be a great success with some of the changes we've made. So that's encouraging. Unfortunately, I don't run street stocks. So
I don't normally. So, it's week 5. I think I show up in the standings, but it might have been just because I was admitting one night. I don't think I've raced it this season. We're in week 5. So John Hine couldn't make it tonight, so I was admitting, and I thought, it's the B division. I'll race it. Well, and I think that kind of cost us a bit because there was a couple issues in the race. But anyways, regardless, I'm usually the guy at dead back. I finished 10th. Like, I transferred. Like, holy crap, what's going on? Now, I had Coach Landis, helping me out. The guy is unbelievable. But so then I thought, you know what? I might as well race the A division. Plus, it's broadcast, and it'll give Joe a few laughs of watching their beer can go around. And I finished P10 again. Like, I've had a great day today. In the matinee race in the 360s, I had, this is shocking. I was top I think there's 17 cars. I was fast qualifier. And there was Donovan Ross was in there, and there's a bunch of other, there's a few hot shoes. And the funny thing is I missed my marks. I missed my marks, and I got the fastest lap time. So you figure, I obviously don't know what I'm doing.
Well, but, I'm gonna date myself a little here, and I'm a fairly young guy, I would say, but it reminds me of a Seinfeld episode where George decides that every decision he's ever made has proved to be detrimental to him. So he just decides to do everything different. Maybe that's what you got to do when you feel like you should run low, run high. I mean, maybe that's the trick.
Yeah, it's weird, but anyway, but it's been a great week. I've been running all the matinee races, and they are just so much fun. The guys are just really laid back there, and not nearly as. I mean, they're not as big a race as the evening races. There's more at stake, I guess. But it's been. If you haven't been in a matinee race, come on out. I guarantee you'll love it. And the NASCAR race on last Friday, we drew a good number, and I think those are going to be a real big success. And it's great. It's out there. Aiden Young, I guess that's where he's a hot shoot. Like he was up in the pro level almost or something with the NASCAR site before he got involved with dirt. But we're asking him, like, we're going around like, okay, so like if you've got the lucky dog, can you pit? Like, we don't know any of the rules. Everybody's in the same boat. It's all these dirt guys that have no clue of what we're doing, and we're asking, okay, could I pit? If I pit, do I lose my hot shoe? Or when can I go around? And but it's great, and it's you don't feel awkward because pretty much everybody else is in that same boat. So it's and the racing, it was fun racing, and it'll just get better and better. So it's exciting.
It reminds me a lot of where the Skippies were when we first started that. I mean, the car counts were low, but it was a goof-off race almost, and it's gotten much more serious. But that level hasn't left, right? And I think that's encouraging. I will say the same thing about the midget race. The midget race last night was probably one of the rougher races this season. We had a lot of cautions, but I will say, for the most part, everybody stayed pretty calm, cool, and collected. And so, obviously, I mean, I finished pretty well too, so maybe that's color in my opinion.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I was impressed with guys. For the most part, everybody was just out there having a good time, goofing off and stuff, but still put on a pretty competitive race besides all the cautions.
I got to tell you too, before I forget, because we got to get Donovan on here, because we got a great interview with Donovan Ross. But the Skippy race, I think there was 34 guys in the race. We're in the 30s every race now. It's great. But I was a hard charger. So, like, you don't have that hard. I didn't get 5 bonus points because you don't have that in IRLM. But I went from 31st to 20th. I gained 11 spots. But the start of the race, it was at Charlotte, and it's like you're coming out of an S turn, that S turn.
Yeah.
I was behind the S turn at the start of the race, I was trying to get different pictures from the blimp or whatever to show all these cars, but I mean, it was just, you had to get up so high to get the picture of the cars.
Oh, yeah.
Small. But it was just like this long line of I couldn't even see near the front. But it's awesome because you've always got somebody in the race that you can race against. There's great races at the back.
Yeah, and that's one thing that does make the Skippies good, is because I think no matter what, we're going to maintain a level or a wide array of talent level, and I think that's a good thing. Yeah. Because the car counts aren't increasing to massive numbers. It's right about now. It's just about right, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
The point you make, though, it makes it interesting. I know we typically run, like, just talking about Renegades, we run the same number of laps at every track and stuff. And for our Roadrunner series, we're going to run the same amount of time because it is a timed event. But maybe we should look at varying some other things. Like maybe Charlotte should be a rolling start instead of a standing start. I don't know. It's just something interesting. Anyway, before we get off on too big a tangent here, because we've never done that. We've never done that before, but I feel it coming. So maybe before it happens for the very first time, let's go ahead and run over and talk to Donovan. Like you said, it's a great interview.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows Donovan, and for various different reasons, he's a great dude. He's a great interview and had a lot of interesting things to say. So we'll jump over there and talk to him now.
And we've got a special guest tonight, Donovan Ross. He's been around since near the beginning, and I'm making a promise right now. I was going to say Devo. I don't know if you want to be the Devo or or Donovan, but I'm making a promise right now. We will not mute you through this whole session. That's a promise.
Yeah, well,
it's
early. It's early.
Well, we're getting that out of the way early too. We didn't talk
Yeah.
about this before, and I was wondering if we were going to even bring that up.
No.
So
I wanted to address the elephant in the room.
Yeah, thanks. Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Certainly, yeah. That's one thing we've been trying to do is just there's a lot of names that have been in the league for a long time, but nobody we don't really know each other, so it's just a fun opportunity to get to know each other.
Well,
absolutely.
people have heard Donovan before; they've just never really seen him, So it's all good, man.
That's probably a better thing.
You've been a front runner since day one, and always out there, and it's great seeing you out with the old guys in the matinee races lately. So, are you semi-retired, or what's going on there?
My business is pretty seasonal. I own so DVO Transport is my business. It's just a small dump trucking construction business. So seasonal asphalt work, highway work. So it frees up a lot of time in the winter for me to get on here and do the best.
Yeah, I thought you had some haulers that were doing cross country stuff. So that was where I guess it's the pictures I've seen where you're standing beside different.
Can't tell it's a dumper on there. Yeah. It's just me, dump truck and local business here that I basically stay in Washington.
Now, if I remember correctly, I have seen DVO Transport on the top wing of some sprint cars, or at least one. Is that right?
Yeah. Missy, my fiance, and we help Devin Borden. He's a local youngster. Race, I believe he's Grays Harbor Raceway champion. He's won a championship, I believe, at Skagit Speedway, and he was the youngest driver to win a national ASCS race at Grays Harbor. So we help him out. I used to work with his dad on his sprint cars, and then we're just in a position to, help him out a little bit. And then also a kid that races part-time up here, Greg Hamilton. I used to work for his dad, and then kind of in turn, Jack Clevenger now crew chiefs the car. I did for several years, and then now Jack took that over, and I help him out a little bit. So that's the two cars that we help out on.
So do you guys all live roughly the same? You and Jack and Fitzpatrick. Does Fitzy live out your way too, or?
No, I don't think Fitzy would live too close. He probably burned my house down after the last couple of weeks. But no, Jack and I live in the same town. And Scotty just relocated to Atlanta, and Keith is in Missouri. And that's who we've got right now.
So obviously, and we won't get into all the details and stuff, but I know you guys and what's now Bandy, we're all a team. But how did that start? Like, what brought you all guys all together? Because it was a huge number of guys, and I know their team has kind of gained back to that that number of drivers. But I think you guys had about 10 at one point, and they were spread all over the place.
Yeah, it was, it's a good group of guys, but it's as any sport or anything, I guess, it's hard to mix that many people together, and they all have the same passion or desire to go to the front. There wasn't a heat race there. I think it was last year that there wasn't 3 or 4 of the SRC cars in at a time. So, you were always competing with a teammate, and it was a hard blend, and Bandy's guys have been on fire lately, and they take it pretty serious. Scotty takes our stuff really serious. He puts a lot of time into it, but I don't have that kind of time to do, what those guys are doing. The Bandy guys they put a lot of work into that. Like I said, Scotty does too. It's just hard to have that many, alpha males competitive trying to do the same thing all the time. And
even when it's not like that, and I can we've talked about this before, but we have coast to coast, and we're still a team, but we had 10 guys, and we're out, and we run different divisions and such, but it still gets hard to manage. There's a lot of people that are having different conversations, and getting things organized makes it really difficult. So we've had, it's not separation, but just kind of reorganized a little bit, because it's just hard to manage that number of people and setups and all that stuff. It gets kind of crazy.
especially on the competitive side. You know, there's a bunch of us losers at the back, but and we're all good. But no, but for the competitive side, it's you know, it's hard when you got so many guys in the room and everything else. And yeah,
it's hard, and yeah, everybody's got a different personality. I'm very outspoken, say what's on my mind, you know, and
I'm still color me shocked.
Right, you know, and Keith Jackson is the same way. And Scotty kind of takes it in, and then he takes off like a bottle rocket if you get him over the edge. And so, and Bandy's approach is he's professional. He's gonna, you know, they think about what they say, and they present a good product, and they do well with what they do. And you know, there's probably a reason we got 4 guys.
So but you know, you guys came into the league like together. So how far did your team precede, like SRC? How far did that precede our league? How long were you guys racing together or whatever?
You know, Roger, I'm not 100% sure. It would probably be a half of a season before the G4 started up. We were started out with Driven, so Scotty, Keith, Jack, and myself, and then Driven had a group of guys, and we kind of absorbed into them. They didn't have a dirt division, so we kind of started a dirt side, and then same problems occur. So off goes the 4 guys. You know, we're going to split off and do what we've been doing, and so that started. What Scotty had the group SRC originally, and we just formed into SRC and then raced with that banner, and then got together with Kevin and just kind of last year when the COVID was going on and the iRacing was going crazy. I was sharing Kevin the videos and, showing him what we were doing. And he was like, yeah, I'm all about that. Let's, I'll support that. So that's awesome. How we got where we're at now.
That's awesome.
So tell me a little bit, and I asked this because we obviously we work with Kreitz, So tell me a little bit about your relationship with Rudeen Racing. How do you guys integrate with them, or is it pretty hands off on both ways, or is it you guys talking pretty frequently? How's that work for you guys?
Kevin and I text frequently. I don't like to bother him with my computer games, if you will, and I send him. Got a wiener dog in the house. Hey, get out of here. He just, we send him the results. We ask him if we need stuff, and out of sight, out of mind, and try to support his product. And he likes to win. And, when he first came on board, Keith was on fire. Schultz was on fire. And so it worked out great for him. And, the views were huge on the channels. So everything worked out good, kind of, I guess, lead into, talked to him last week, said, hey, here's what we're thinking. Is that a possibility? He said, not a problem, so kind of,
okay. So
he's easy to access, if we need it.
So that's a great segue. It was something I was going to leave towards the end, but you talked about, you asked him a question. So we saved it for the podcast to make the announcement, and to let you do the honors on there. What was the question you asked, and what came out of that?
Well, let me see. I guess I was surfing the G-Force web page or the Facebook page, and I seen that Roger put a post up looking for sponsorship for week 13, I believe, Race of Champions.
Yep.
And I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to help out a little bit, the organization. Everybody stepped up. Seems like if you listen to the sponsor list of everybody's contributed into the league. Shot Kevin a text, asked him if that's something he'd be interested in, and he obliged, and here we are today. So Rudeen Racing will be sponsoring the week 13 Race of Champions series.
There you have it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There you have it.
Yep.
So Roger was telling me the other day in a kind of a conversation between the two of us, how many people, and it's probably changed since the last time we even counted, how many people do we have that qualify for that now?
Oh, it's like, I think like 30 something already. I might be a little high, but I don't think I'm very high. There's and so for those who have don't always check the website or whatever, the Race of Champions is going to be a 3-race series. After the season's over, it'll be week 13. It'll be the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and to qualify, you have to win a feature through the season. So I think we're up to about 30 already. So it'll be 3 tracks and 3 cars that we don't normally drive. So it could be like trucks at Wild Horse or whatever, or it could be some road race course, or it could be NASCAR. Um, who knows? It could be anything. And those formats will be announced 12 hours before each race. So people won't have much preparation. Only Preston, and if Preston wins a feature, he's
Fat
not going to
chance.
know. And I'm pretty safe.
I need
But,
some time off work so I can try to win one of those matinees, because I think
Yeah.
that's about my only hope.
Well, I'm not sure.
Well, the matinees are no slouch. Those
I know.
races lately have been, man, oh man.
Yeah, I've heard
No,
they've been picking up.
They're not that tough, because I was fast qualifier today, so you know that anybody could possibly win one of those features. So yeah, most of the matinees, it's they're a great time for some of the best races we have.
Something's
Actually.
fishy. Roger, you're like a 10th and a half fast today. So yeah,
You know
you had
what?
you had a good run.
It's cheating.
You want to know why? Because I missed my marks. So evidently the line I took was a lot quicker than what I thought was faster.
Start closing your eyes. That's what I do. Just
That
hold on.
explains you a little bit.
It does. Hey, I'll admit it, Preston. I'm not afraid to admit it.
I think you closed your eyes the day before we were running the 305s, and you came around the last turn. This was all at Lernerville, and you came around the high line, and I saw my rear view. You just took the wall out, or you went for the concession stand or something with about 100 yards to go. I'm not sure where you finished. You could have tumbled down.
Turn off that rear view, and you won't see me there.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's it's fun. Those matinee races are a good time. Kind of jump all over the board. We did the truck race. What day was that? Is that Monday?
It's
That was Friday. Yeah.
Friday. That was a good time. Those are
Yeah, it was. That was a great time.
all those those are all fun.
I was, and I think we talked about. I was following you in the truck race, and all of a sudden you got turned, and I'm thinking, I'm waiting to get an earful because I figured you thought it was me, but it wasn't. I'm not going to say on air who it was, but it wasn't me. But yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But they're a lot of fun for sure, man.
They are. No, everything. It's all good lately. Everybody's doing good. And the amount of the competition is, if you look at the qualifying times and the Rebels and the Renegades, and even the Elite, there's not much split anymore. It's everybody's right there. So it's been doing the racing's been great.
I go back to a race. It was probably 3 seasons ago. It was a race at Volusia. It was in the last weeks of the season, and we posted about it. But there was literally it was a full Renegade show, and there was between first and maybe 30th, there was a tenth of or 2/10 of a second or something ridiculous like that. It's the talent level. Not only has it increased, but the gap has closed between the front and the back, and it's almost a crapshoot. Like you could hit the line perfect or get your setup perfect, and you still who knows what happens.
Well, it's nice of Schultz to take some time off to give us that opportunity.
Yeah, I appreciate that too.
Yeah, but speaking of Schultz, you've been like Schultz in the Rebels. You got moved down Rebels. I think it was for IL, not for attendance. I think it was IL. But you've won 3 in a row now, and we forgot to give you a hot shoe. And anyways, it's the good news. The good news, after week 5, we're doing some juggling. You'll be back up in Renegades. Get the hell out of Rebels, man. He's been the dominator. It's been an awesome show he's been putting on for sure.
I'm scared to fall back down to Rebels because I'm not sure I can compete there either.
You know what? I'm struggling. My IL is up. I'm over 250 right now, and I'm thinking I got to start driving a little more careful. If I get in Raiders, I'll never get out. I've said that many times, but because the Raiders are even putting on good shows, not too many cautions. Sometimes that's the best race of the night, but yeah, it's all good quality racing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So the other thing, Devo, when we first when you started racing and checked you out on Facebook, I knew you were an all right guy right off the bat because you're a hell of a fisherman, that's for sure. Although I haven't seen many pictures lately.
Yeah, kind of in between. So I live close to the Skagit River, which is our river. So we river fishing, salmon, no steelhead anymore. So I pretty much just drive the boat. My fiance does all the catching anymore. So
yeah, that's always the way.
Just take the boat, to the river and keep handing her rods with fresh lures on them. That's my job. And then, of course, if there's a fish caught, she can't touch it. So, I handle all the duties.
Roger's going to tell you.
Enjoy fishing.
Roger's going to tell you that's how Connor Ross outfished him too, but I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I heard that story. So,
everybody.
I think a lot of people have heard that story.
No, fishing's a good. It's a good for something. Like I said, Missy, my fiance, and I. It's something that we enjoy doing, and I didn't know that she actually enjoyed fishing. We bought a boat and away we went, and she loves it, and it makes it fun to go do. So
wait till she tries iRacing.
She's behind the scenes here mimicking us, and she thinks it's pretty amusing.
Well, the other big thing though is your son started to show up. I think he's got through recruiting. I'm not sure if he's
still in
Raiders
recruiting
yet, or in that.
No, he's still. Yeah, he's in no hurry. He'd do all right. He just told me he fired me after week 1. So I told him on a restart that if everybody goes to the bottom, go to the top, and he goes, he missed the top, hit the middle, spun out, and then I was fired. So he's doing his own thing now.
How old is he?
So he's 17.
Oh, okay.
So he's a gamer, but not a car simulation gamer. So, but he'll pick it up quick. So
I was gonna say it doesn't take long. It's gonna take one good finish, and then he's hooked.
Yeah. Well, I still have the keys to this rig, so he's in trouble when he gets too good.
I love seeing that. Chris Whipple in one of the street stocks tonight. He started at the back, but he started beside his son, and that was kind of cool.
That's Wyatt, right?
Wyatt.
Yeah, we saw them. We saw them both in the midget race last night too.
Oh, that's cool. I think it's you and your dad, Preston, and there's and Ben and his dad's name.
Kenny.
Kenny that was running at the Chili Bowl.
So I was gonna wait to tell this story, and I'm hoping Penny Lee's gone to sleep already, because if not, I'm in big trouble. So Kenny was running in the Chili Bowl. I was just browsing the entries, counting how many people there were, just checking to see if I saw any strange names that I recognized. And sure enough, Kenny Kolsch. And I know he plays the trumpet there every year for the national anthem. I think just for the main feature. And so I saw his name, and I said something to Roger, and then I immediately messaged Ben, because he's on the review committee. I've already got a little bit of access to him. I know I probably could have messaged Kenny too, but I just told him, I was like, hey, is your dad running the Chili Bowl? And he's like, yeah. He said somebody that he knows, and I know he's got some experience in the Tulsa shootout, but he had a car, and he was like, hey, do you want to drive it? So I was like, well, this is perfect. So I got in contact with him, had some decals made, some G-Force Racing League decals made. So we were going to have the car decked out. I mean, they were nice-sized decals, right? I mean, no way you'd miss them on TV. And super pumped. I've been bothering the shit out of Ben about getting pictures and, like, how's it going, when's he racing, all this stuff. And Ben's been great about it. He's, probably just as excited, if not more than I am. And so I messaged him the other day. I was like, hey, got the decals and everything, right? And he's like, yeah, but they're not going on until tomorrow because Dad didn't get home till late. I was like, okay. He said, never mind, I just jinxed it. He's done for the week. He's got a bent valve in the motor. And I'm thinking, well, that sucks. But I spent a lot of money on these decals and had already caught some flack for that. And so I'm just hoping it just passes and no questions get asked, because it's not going to go over well.
Somebody will run those decals. Have somebody run and stick them somewhere.
I need to message him. I don't know, because it's a far stretch. Glenn doesn't know who I am, but it seems like that might be the best opportunity, is to get Kenny to just hand them to Glenn and say, throw these on your car or something, because I don't know. But I didn't want to be the guy like, hey, can you mail those back to me? But I thought it. So anyway, pretty funny.
Yeah.
I feel terrible for Kenny, though, because I know there's that R right next to his name. It's going to be his first run. And so hopefully he's supposed to run tomorrow, which is Thursday. So maybe some miracle happens. I don't know.
And that's Kenny, who also ran the Tulsa shootout, right?
I don't know if he ran it this year. I know he has in the past.
That was Kenny Miller. Kenny Miller.
Yeah. Kenny Miller ran the Tulsa shootout and did really well too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that's who we were talking about. Sorry.
No, this is Ken Coles. Ken and Ben Coles.
Oh, Ken Coles.
Father.
I thought you had mentioned Miller. Okay, sorry.
Father, son.
So we're probably getting to the end here, and I'm sure you mentioned that you've been watching the podcast. So I'm going to ask you the same question I ask everybody. But before I do, I have to tell you, just knowing Donovan, I have to tell you this is probably, I've never anticipated this more. So please make this a good answer.
Oh, boy.
Spill the tea, as the millennials say. Who would you say in the G-Force Racing League is your biggest rival?
Well, I could have a serious answer and say my biggest rival is probably myself. I believe that I can run with any one of these guys, except for I kick my own ass all the time.
What a cop-out.
But gosh, my biggest rival, Fitz and I are going to hit each other no matter what happens. I mean, we were by ourselves. I think it was the Elite Qualifier last week or the Renegade, whatever. And 1 and 2 in the heat, I believe, and he was on my right rear, and bam, done. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just the way certain cars run, and I always find myself into Fitz. Sorry, Jeff.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. So it just,
well, it puts
it's not a call out.
Makes you think about it. No, I'm not calling him out. He's not doing anything wrong. It's we're always running hard for the same spot when we're next to each other, and it's just the way it is. And I'm not going to change how I drive, and I know that he's not, and Bandy, those guys aren't going to.
No,
that organization as a whole races hard. If you pull up next to him, you better expect to be raced hard.
Yeah, you're racing for the same real estate a lot of times, right? So that's the way it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we expect from our best drivers. I mean, nobody's going to back down, and if the minute they do, it's half an Art and Senna quote here. But the minute you back down, you're cheapening the show for everybody. So that's what we expect. Things are going to happen, but that's what it takes to put on a good show and to win a race. I mean, you can't win a race if you don't race hard.
Yeah, and you guys, like I said, you guys do a good job. Containing the energy. Everybody, I know I look at that darn penalty list all the time. I'm like, then they got it, so I can't comment on it now. So I really get fired up. So,
Donovan and his gifts, man.
This is your chance right now, Donovan.
I'm good. I am who I am, and I enjoy racing with all these guys. And
I'm gonna say this now. Roger and I have mentioned multiple times when we've had to click the mute button or whatever. Quite frankly, we find you hilarious, but we just sometimes it can't go any further. But we did get a kick out of you, so it's all good.
You can always tell when it's not a good night for it when Roger gets in the room, just how the driver's meeting goes. So you know whether to mute yourself on one end or if you can get away with a little bit. So, but yeah, no, it's just part of the game. Like I said, I'm probably my biggest enemy, but it is what it is.
So my question is your impressions, your most memorable moment in iRacing.
Man, I honestly don't have one that sticks out. I thought it was pretty cool when I first started that, Scotty, who we haven't talked enough about here, but Scotty he's a hell of a man. Didn't know him from anybody, pulled me aside in the messenger and said, "Hey, I like how you race and how you represent yourself, and would you be interested in joining our group?" I thought that was pretty cool. Here we're just playing a simulator or, a game, and all of a sudden somebody noticed what we were doing, and so I thought that was probably pretty cool. And then to be able to kind of race our way up with Jack's a good friend of mine outside of iRacing, so it's been fun for us to grow together and gain speed. Same with Keith, and this summer Keith and I went on vacation with our wives and had a good time, but probably just being associated with the group, being called into a group and being able to be with a group of guys.
Yeah, and that extends not to the same extent your team does, and we'll say the same thing. I mean, Roger and I are great buddies now, just from all this, where we've been. But it's even outside of that, the community, that's why we do the podcast, because it's fun to, like I said, just to get to know guys. But it's a cool community, and I completely understand what you're saying. You make a lot of relationships through, and Roger's gonna be upset with me, but again, it's something you turn on the computer. People across the country you'd never meet otherwise,
Right.
or even when you do, you don't have any idea they're sitting 2 rows in front of you. So
Right.
it's
exactly.
yeah.
So you and I had another connection, and got a couple questions on that. So you're good buddies with Sam Heffertape, the ASCS Dominator, and of course I'm a big fan of Dylan Westbrook, and they both race now for Hills Racing. How did that connection happen with you and Sam?
Well, originally Sam had driven for Rudeen, way back. Gosh, I couldn't tell you what year it was, and met Sam then. I'd kind of helped out on that car a little bit.
Okay.
At that time, met Sam, and then when Sam had started coming back to Skagit Speedway to run the ASCS National Tour, I was helping Gregory Hamilton at the time, who has a big shop here, and they would all shop with us. So got to know our relationship with Sam and Daryl and all the guys, Ron, and it just grew year after year. And then find ourselves, spending time Thanksgiving with Sam and his family in Texas and so forth. So just kind of had a relationship through racing and carried on over the years. Which
That's
in turn, meets Alex and Miles and that all those people, and they're just a great family there.
So to tell a little bit of a story about Rudeen Racing. So it's been funny. So it was 2 years ago. There's not a lot of. I'm in Central Virginia. Not a lot of sprint car racing around here. So what dirt racing there is, it's late models. And but Tony Stewart brought the All-Star Circuit of Champions through, and Corey won the race. I don't recall. I believe I think it may have been his first season with Rudeen Racing. And then Joe went to Hussets, or I may be pronouncing that incorrectly. Hussets. Yeah. When they reopened, when the Circuit of Champions came through, and I believe Corey won that race too. So our team has witnessed tons of Rudeen Racing victories. Speaking about just the general numbers we have, but I remember the one thing that stuck out to me when after Corey won, he's doing his Victory Lane interview, and he talked a lot about how passionate he was about the Race Rudeen Foundation. So if I'm putting you on the spot and it's a question you can't answer, it's okay. We'll get some information out there. But can you tell us a little bit about the Race Rudeen Foundation, because it's really cool.
Yeah, and so it's an organization founded by, and I don't want to talk out of order, by Kevin for his son Race Rudeen, who had addiction issues and passed on. So they put events on, gather funding to help, kids or programs of people that are in need, and it just kind of shows where Kevin goes with, he's just the giving of his heart, and everything doesn't stop. It's just not a guy that you see, sauntering through the pits. That he's approachable. He talks to you. He'll help anybody out. He can just put his hand on your shoulder and tell you it'll be all right. And he's a good guy. So, and that goes down through his kids too as well.
Well, and his team, and that was the thing that stuck out to me. They're doing interviews down in Victory Lane, and they were excited. I mean, they just won a big race. It was a pretty big payout too. And but that was a focus for them. Like they were super excited to be able to share that, and that really stuck out to me, is about how passionate they were, and it's something that's kind of carried with me. I mean, we try to do our charity events pretty frequently, and how they're a race team, and they're a very competitive race team, but they're still trying to do stuff to give back and to help people, and that really stuck out to me. And so I've always I have certain drivers I pull for, but that's always in the back of my mind, and I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's just a great people, organization. If you ever won the Mega Millions, that's how you want your organization to be. That's how you want your equipment to be: tidy, clean. You want your people to be, respectful, right? It's just ran, very well. So, we're just thankful that he lets us stick a sticker on our simulator car, if you will.
Yeah, sure.
No, and it's it's been great having you guys in the league for sure. You guys are front runners, always put on a great show, And we maybe can talk a little bit about Scotty. It's good to see Scotty back in behind the wheel, because I wasn't aware of just how serious, not, I don't want to downplay any of that stuff, but I think he had quadruple bypass.
Yeah, bypass. Yep.
But
I think it was quadruple. Yeah.
yeah, and that's kind of, I'm not saying it's a a standard. Well, it's a standard procedure now, but I mean, I had no idea how serious his was, and it's great to see him back, racing again for sure.
Yeah, I think he was down before, so it'd be last year before his surgery. I believe it was about 15% of usage of available heart capacity. So, he was in bad shape. But man, you can't say enough about Scotty. He believes in the game. He I keep saying game. I just see Roger's eyes. It's not a game. Yeah, he believes in iRacing. And the guy spends insurmountable hours. He calls me. Oh, I found 200. So I'm like, 200, Scotty. I mean, did you not pull a tear off? I mean, you could just not let go of the steering wheel and it's fine. But he's always working, to make it better for myself, Keith, or Jack. So. And he's doing good now. I talked to him today. He said that I believe it was 40% of his heart, and I don't know what the numbers mean, but it was, I know that 40 is a lot better than 15. So
yeah,
he's getting back online, and it's fun to have him, and it wouldn't be the same group of guys to have without Scotty.
So I've seen pictures of the rig. He's either rebuilding or building anew, and it's in one of those race car beds that we used to see when we were younger. Is that legit? Is that like...
I can't say that I've actually seen it other than the same picture that you had. And he relocated to, poor Scotty. I'm sorry, Scotty, but he relocated to down to Atlanta, and I guess he said his rig took some damage on the way. I said, well, Scotty, it's going to be hard to find that Tyco Blue anywhere to get it repaired. But yeah, he slides down in that thing like a lizard, and it's like a lay down go kart, and he's
so it's legit. It is legit.
Oh yeah, it's legit. Yeah.
I thought it was just something he picked up off the internet.
Yeah, I wasn't sure either.
Okay, so not only that, but he's competitive at that thing. That's
that thing. That's his rig. Come on, Roger. You're gonna get a hate mail.
But you know what? But there's probably 6-7 guys in our league now that are on Amazon searching for race car beds to go try to get more competitive.
Absolutely. No, I saw that the first time, and he lays down and his pedals are. Oh boy, I said, Scott, I can't help you there, bud. That's
awesome.
That's your own deal.
But
awesome. As long as his mouse works and he can read those lines, and like I said, you can't give him enough credit for what we do. He's online every night in our ear, asking what we can do to help out, or telling me, he chews on me more than you guys do. So he's he wants to see us all do good. So
no, and you know what?
Go ahead.
I was just going to, and a call out to him, because he may be pissed at me saying this, but I know, because he didn't want any credit for it. But all the 305 setups that we're running is stuff that he built for us, and it made a world of difference. All of a sudden, guys who are struggling could run some decent laps, and you quickly get to appreciate the work that these guys put in. It's just,
and the understanding they have. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. I don't want to understand how to make a car. I know it sounds bad. I want to get on, our race starts at 6. I want to get on there at 5:30, run some laps, tell them this is what I want to feel, or this is the cross weight that I like, and I go, I got better things to do. But Scotty likes finding those small increments or making things better. And like I said, he's behind the scenes a lot, and he definitely needs some more credit for what he does for the organization of ours.
Yep, and like you say, like Preston was saying, some of those races where the difference between first and 30th is not much. Those 200ths of a second that he finds could be the difference.
And that's where it's coming as the time's close, and that's where that's going to be huge, and
yep.
That's where I guess it was really appreciated, is when you can get that little bit of time.
Yep, for sure.
Well, Donovan, we're going to let you go, buddy, but I got to tell you, I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your involvement in the league. For one, I know Rudeen is the one sponsoring the Race Champions, but you helped us with that. and we appreciate that. I mean, what you're saying about other teams stepping up is very true. So everybody stepping up is great, but it's going to be a fun time. I have to say, I think as far as entertainment value, I don't think there'll be anything more entertaining that our league has put on up until this point. So it'll be a good show, and we'll make sure we do Rudeen proud.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It was good to sit down with you guys and shoot the shit a little bit.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for months, not weeks, months. We got to get Donovan on here one day.
Well, yeah, then you write me a whole page of penalties, and then I got to come out this week. I've never seen so many laps that I lagged on.
Well, I tell you, the next week we're going to have Jeff Fitzpatrick on, if I can get a hold of him, and we can see what kind of things he has to say about you.
He'd probably be like, who? Yeah. He'd be like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
No, like I said, we have fun. Jack, I got to give a little bit of credit to Jack while we're on the air here. He's, he makes all of us guys, and, it's a small group, but, we do our best, and, it's a pleasure to race with y'all.
Well, not only that, you owe Jack a big shout out, because when you get muted, he's your spokesman.
Yeah, he keeps going. I'm like, just don't mention my name, Jack. Just stop. I tell him too. Get your hand off that trigger. Don't just wrap the thumb around the steering wheel. But yeah, no, Jack's a good friend of mine. Like I said, and it's a pleasure to race with those guys and race with your organization.
Yeah, and it was. And by the way, you showed up in the Skippies. And I made a comment. I think it's the first time I've ever out-qualified you. I finished like 25th, and you might have been low. I don't know, but it was your first night out. My only opportunity to do that.
I tried it again last weekend. I thought I had a blistering lap. Just the thing chatters through the corner, and you go the other way. And I looked at the results, and I was 6 seconds slower. Have fun, guys. I'll go watch 60 Minutes.
So now we're in another ballpark. We didn't ask, what do you run as far as your rig? Like, what kind of wheel do you have? You running triples or VR? Or?
Triples, Fanatec gear, all built up. It's not a Tyco car, but, I do sit in a wooden chair with no padding, and I'm on a Amazon desk, but, nothing fancy.
Gotcha.
And what Fanatec wheel, just out of curiosity?
What wheel?
Yeah, Roger's shopping, so he.
It's just a 16-inch aluminum wheel, sprint car wheel on a hub.
No, but which
base?
It's the Fanatec base.
Oh, what is it? The CS 2.5 or version 2.5 or whatever. It's over there. It's right there.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing. I muscled around a G29 forever, but that. It's good equipment's worth a lot, in this, especially like you keep going back to the timing of how close the field is. If you want to be competitive, I believe that you have to have good equipment, and that's whatever sport you're in, auto racing, simulation, whatever. So fishing, anything.
Setting your wife's equipment up, she's got to have the best stuff for her to catch the fish and stuff.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll let you go. It was nice talking to you, and we'll see you out on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it again sometime. Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Well, that was, we mentioned in the interview we've been wanting to do this for months. We keep talking about we got to get Donovan on here, and he didn't disappoint. He's a great guy. We've had our issues with the mute button and all that stuff, but I mean it's but like you said, half the time it's funnier than hell what he's saying. But it was a great interview, and it was great to finally get him on. And kudos to Rudeen for stepping up for that the Race of Champions, because that's going to be great. I don't think people have really caught on. We need to get the admins to start talking more about the winner of this race will qualify for the Race of Champions, so people do get aware of it. But it's on the website gforcerl.com, and go to the Race of Champions ROC, and you'll see the list of who's already qualified, and the list is growing, but there's a lot of guys not on it, and I got to get my name on that list, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
So we did hold our executive team meeting this past Sunday. We do that fairly frequently, just try to stay on top of things and make sure that we're doing the right things. And one thing that got floated, we were talking about the Race of Champions. And we had just found out, I think maybe even that day or the day before, that Rudeen and Kevin Rudeen were going to step up and sponsor the Race of Champions. And Roger and I were talking about how it was going to be a fat chance that we make the Race of Champions. So I'm putting it out there now. It's not been decided, but there's the idea that we may also run a race of participation alongside the Race of Champions for the guys that don't qualify. I don't know how that's going to work yet, but it's out there. If you have ideas of how that works, maybe.
So a lot of ideas are sprung right here, like this one. That's a great idea. Like, we could run that before, on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we could have a race of participants.
Yeah, there you go.
And the champions aren't allowed. It's just participants.
Oh yeah, none of those winners. I don't need them around cramping my style.
That's right.
Yeah, so it'll be a good time. It's going to be entertaining anyway. I know we're still trying to nail down who's broadcasting what, but I really think, especially, I want to get Joe White out there for something crazy. Like, I don't know if we're running I don't know. We got to figure something out, because he will do a great job, and he'll have a good time doing it too. So
for sure. For sure.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time whether you're watching or racing.
So I was racing tonight, and I always have the broadcast up just to make sure things are running good and there's no technical issues and stuff. But I know in the one race, I think it was when I transferred in my heat, and I don't know what I got to go back and watch the broadcast. I just heard them; they were mentioning. He always gets a kick out of making fun of me. So it's Joe's great, and he does a great job.
Yeah. So I am going to take a moment here, and just because I can, I guess, I have, just for anybody that might be interested, I am sitting on a G27, which I know is an older model wheel, but I have the full thing. It's in great working order, wheel pedals and a shifter. If anybody's interested in that, I'm more than willing to sell it. You make me an offer. I've upgraded the Fanatec equipment over a period of time. I was using just a G27 wheel. It works great. It served me well. So if anybody's looking for an upgrade or a replacement or something, let me know. I haven't really put that out there anywhere other than asking some people if they wanted the shifter that I knew were using Logitech wheels. And I guess because we were in sprint cars predominantly, everybody says, I don't need that. I don't use that. I don't have anywhere to put it. So if somebody's interested in it, please let me know. We'll figure something out, because it's being wasted here. So just let me know.
You know what? I'm gonna throw something out here too. I'm gonna do you one better. I got it set because I got the Fanatec pedals, which are just awesome. So I got an old set of G27 pedals, but they were inverted. Like when I bought the rig, they're in there and they're inverted, so they don't come with the plate. They're just 3 pedals in a box with wires. And if somebody, in Canada, like there's no American going to get across the border here,
right?
If anybody need, and really they're free. So if anybody needs a set, like I don't want you just to get them and flip them or something, but if you need pedals, or you're building a rig for your kid or somebody else, like, contact me and we can work something out.
So here's one of those rabbit trails that we've never done before. Yeah. So Adam, for my own curiosity's sake, you were running. Can you run those pedals without being connected to a Logitech wheel?
Maybe not. So I guess really it's a very limited crowd where they've got a G27 wheel that their pedals are buggered up, and they could replace them with these.
Yeah, okay. Or if you just wanted inverted pedals, I mean it's definitely a lot easier to just get a set than.
Yeah.
But
anyways, so there you go. There's our offers.
Yeah.
If you've lasted this long in the podcast, there's your offers.
Well, and I'm gonna make if Roger's gonna give you stuff for free, because I'm not gonna give you my whole set for free, but make a donation to something, like just in the league's name or whatever, if you're gonna do that.
And so on that note, we're not ready to that, but every season we do a charity event, so maybe by next podcast we will have something to announce on that. And maybe that would be a good charity to donate to. Once we put it all together.
Yeah.
Getting close.
Yeah, we I think I'm excited about this one. I think we've got some cool ideas in the works, and it's gonna. If we go through with what we've been talking about, and I'm obviously not going to say anything because Roger will get upset with me, but it's going to be different than anything we've ever done before. Should draw a lot of drivers, and should be a fun time as well as a competitive time. So I'm excited.
And benefit somebody,
Yep.
so that's the good part of it all. And our membership, the community has been awesome supporting these events for sure.
Yep.
So something's in the works. It's coming. Just like iRacing's coming soon, but ours is coming sooner than iRacing stuff.
And that being said, nothing's officially decided yet. We'll make the determinations as far as the racing stuff. But if you know of a charity or something like that we should be working with, let us know, because we've got some ideas in mind. But we try to do a charity event once every season. So if just because we don't get to it this season, doesn't mean next season or the season after that we wouldn't want to do that. So
No.
as much as we want you guys to step up and help us, through sponsorships and that kind of stuff, that stuff comes from our community too. And we were getting suggestions, and I think the one we're at least looking at for this one was a suggestion we got from somebody else. So we'll definitely take those. I was super thrilled with what we did for Rick Eckert's grandson, and I do like doing those kind of more personal charities because we know exactly where it's going, and we get to feel a little bit of that impact. So anyway, I'm getting too close to disclosing things, so we should change the subject.
So that's coming. There's a few things I wanted to go over. I don't know if you got something you want to talk about.
No, I haven't.
Right. Okay, so this is week 5. We're in it right now. By the time you see this, week 5 will be over. So there's a few things happening this week. The street stocks that just finished tonight. So I've already started making some adjustments. So because it's so new, we want to make sure that divisions are the right people are in the right divisions. So we'll be making probably more adjustments than we would normally make. But it's all for the benefit of better racing. I think we've seen in those races I was in tonight, it's much better racing than last year. And I think it'll only get better once we make a few more adjustments. So go to gforcerl.com. Can't say that enough because it's all there. But the list of who's in that A division will be there by the time you see this podcast. So there will be a few guys moved down because they didn't participate enough, where their IL's a little bit too high. We haven't firmed up the IL numbers, but it's much different for street stocks than it is for sprints. So where we use the 0.25 and for Rebels 0.225 and for Renegades 0.20, I'm pretty sure that the street stocks will be, you need to be below 1 point or 0.1 to stay in the A division. And in the B division, you need to be below 1.25.
So and I do want
numbers aren't firm.
I do want to mention that because we might have some guys that maybe not that watch the podcast, but some guys that may run street stocks and not sprint cars or whatever the case may be. That the reason there's a difference in those numbers is not because we're doing something on our end. iRacing literally counts those incidents differently.
Way different.
Between the cars, and I don't understand how that works. The programmer inside of me is very curious, but it's incident points count much less in the street stock. So we have to, in order to keep the racing clean, it's got to be a flexible scale, and so we're still refining that. And those are the numbers that our executive team are seeing that probably make the most sense. To keep it going. It's not something that we're deciding just arbitrarily. It is because there are differences in the cars in iRacing.
Yeah, and we haven't really set any limits for street stock up till now because we wanted to gather more data. So we have that data after 5 races and a ton of guys who have run them. So now we can make some intelligent decisions based on the numbers we have. And the same thing goes for like the sprint cars. We have 15 incident limit, and then you're disqualified. That's a feature number. Um, and street stocks, I think right now is 10. Might even go to 8. So those are things we're planning on doing to improve the racing. The same thing goes to the dirt modifieds. They'll be running tomorrow night as we're speaking, like this Thursday night. Once that's over, we will be adjusting the A, B, and C division. So you need to go to gforcerl.com and check to see what division you're in. If you don't see your name, by the way, you're in the bottom division. Too many guys. We've had just too many guys showing up in wrong divisions. It's a little easier on Monday night because we're familiar with most of the names, but there's so many new guys have showed up in the unlimited division. The guys are showing up, and we're slowly catching those, and we'll straighten that out. And a lot of times it's just ignorance. Like, guys haven't read the rules, haven't checked stuff out thoroughly enough. But I kind of get that. But and a lot of guys just are apologetic to get out, and that's it. So make sure you check that. The other one too is 900 numbers. So back when we were developing the league, we brought all these new guys applied. We just let them in. We assigned them a 900 number. So we went from 900 to 985 or something like that. So we had like 85 new guys join. I'm not sure it's that big of an issue because in the races I'm watching, I'm not seeing the 900s. Most of the ones that are racing, I think, have already gone through and gone to the website, clicked on that button that says apply or register, and get assigned a number. I think most of the guys, I don't think this will be a big deal. So if we're going to go through the league and just boot out anybody's got a 900 number, and then I'm sure next week we'll start saying like, hey, I can't see my races. Well, okay, did you have a 900 number? Yeah. Okay, well, register. Right? We've been telling them for 3 weeks, register. So they just didn't. So we'll catch a few guys that way, but I don't think it'll be that big a deal. But anyways, that's just some housekeeping stuff that we're doing just to make things run a little smoother.
Yeah, and on the same note, I have to ask just as a sidebar. Are you familiar? Y'all's phone number system is probably different than ours. You keep saying 900 numbers, and I guess the immature person in me can't stop laughing. Are you familiar with 900 numbers?
Not personally, but I know what you're talking.
Okay. All right. I just had to ask because you started that off saying in regards to 900 numbers, and I thought we were going to get some kind of confession, so I didn't know what was going on. But anyway, so along the same lines, Discord is being updated as well. We had some major issues going on with competing teams. I won't go into it more than that, but it was quite frankly, it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
so
a couple people tampering with.
Yeah,
that they should have.
Exactly. So and quite frankly, it's going to give it's a lot of work. I've been tediously going through Discord, trying to make sure we understand what's going on. I'm going to probably be contacting some people to make sure that their team channel is what it should be. That just to get everything organized. Permissions will be changing. For the most part, 99% of everybody in Discord is not going to notice a ton of difference, except for a couple of channels being renamed and that kind of thing. But there are going to be some changes there. So if you notice anything or if anything seems funny, please let me know. This is not a punishment for everybody or anything like that. It's just us trying to get a handle on it because, quite frankly, what was going on, we didn't know was people were even capable of.
It was a wake up call on our part. We knew it was kind of that we had never really paid a lot of attention to, setting it up or managing it, and it was a wake up call. So now, Preston's turning the screws. I know the other day Joe Backus couldn't get in our team room, so he had to lighten the screws a little bit, I guess. But that's what you get for not coming on the show.
That is true. I also have no idea why Joe couldn't get in the room. That wasn't me. So that is a mystery for our team specifically. Somebody removed Joe's permissions to be able to enter our room. That is one thing. I think I've talked to everybody with a locked room. Nobody will have locked rooms anymore, but it shouldn't, based on what I'm changing, it shouldn't be necessary. So I think I've discussed that with everybody except for maybe our team. So hey, coast to coast, no more locked room.
That's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah. So anyway, but that is one thing I'll mention this, and it's not an absolute requirement because we're not going to manage this. But I would encourage people, just like we don't we have a no tolerance policy for call outs. I would encourage people to, before you go into someone else's room and lambast them for something that happened or even approach them, give it some time. And you know what? I'm shaming myself here because I did that with Braden Fensel. We had an incident some time ago. And in all honesty, most of my team ended up telling me it was my fault. So I apologized to him and we made things right. So Braden and I, as far as I know, were okay. But you can make a mistake that way. Don't go in someone's room in the heat of the moment, particularly when a race is still going on, and that's not acceptable. So anyway, I don't know that that's going on, but I just want to make that clear that that's not an okay thing to do. We manage everybody's team rooms, or we try to give everybody a room to operate in for their team's sake. It's not for you to go and address another driver or a team that's not on your team.
Yeah, and I have to fess up. Most people would probably know I'm not a Discord guru here, or not even remotely close. So people send me messages in Discord. It might be 2 months, 3 months before I see them. So I apologize. It's not my thing. I'm a Facebook Messenger, email, whatever. But I'm going to try to get better at that. But and I think we got some better things coming. Like the pit notes are there. The setups I think are going to be all there in an organized manner. For the custom-made fixed setups, etc., so people can practice with them ahead of time. That's the plan.
Yes, and I'll mention while we're talking about that, I won't interrupt you for long. I do have several updated setups for that'll be loaded here soon. I had a bunch, and I haven't had a chance to get them all in there yet. So if you've been using those setups that are in that setup room, there'll be new ones here soon. Anyway.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be a lot of good come out of all this. So, so stay tuned for that, and that's about all I got to say about that, I guess.
Yeah, yep. I don't know that I have a ton more either. It's been you just kind of talking about it, though. You mentioned it's week 5. I can't believe it's week 5 already. This season feels like it's flying by to me.
So it's kind of funny, I'm retired. And
I know.
I'm on lockdown. It's COVID time. So I probably put 8, 10, maybe 12 hours. Not like head grinding stuff, but I'm watching TV. I got the laptop on my lap all the time, and I'm doing this or doing that. And but this is my sweet spot right here. Like week 5 to about week 7, it's you've finally gotten through. Like once we get all these what I just talked about with the rejigging the divisions and stuff, we're kind of on cruise at this point, and everything's running good. So I'm looking for stuff to do. We just put our leagues all on GridFinder, gridfinder.com. If you haven't heard about that, I'm looking for stuff to do. So, anyways, it's a good time because then about 3 or 4 weeks from now we'll be planning, spring season.
Yeah.
So but every season we get better. There's more templates for how we do things, and I think things run smoother every year. The big bump this year, of course, has been the dirt modifieds. Like we let those 85 new guys in. Most of them probably never looked at the rules. Guys are asking for black flags cleared and waiver rounds and everything else. They haven't read a damn thing about it, but that's part of that growing process. It happened with the Renegades and Rebels and all that stuff. So. Anyways, it's coming along, and I think and we got a lot of Aussies and Kiwis and New Zealanders in the league now. So it's somebody from Scotland, I think it was. I think that's super cool, and they all seem like great guys. So it's cool.
Yeah, it is really cool to see the league growing like that, and I think as far as divisions go. Barring just like swapping one car type for another, we're probably pretty close to maxed out. I mean,
we're maxed.
there's no way we go like 7 days a week, and we're 6 days a week now. Like, I mean, and that's credit to a lot of people behind the scenes. It's not just Roger and I. Roger and I are on the podcast. We've tried to have some guys on that are involved in the league, and then guys that aren't. But if you're new to this and you're just watching a podcast for the first few times or something, and you haven't heard us say it before, there are a lot of people in the background. I know John Short, who is head of our review committee, has had to been pulling some extra duty here lately, and been killing it. And you know, he's overtaxed. I'll be the first to tell you he's doing a great job, but he's overworked, and the review committee has done a great job backing him up. And I noticed it today especially because they were kind of scrambling to make sure everything was done, and people just started pitching in. Hey, if you need me to do this, I got it. You know, it's really encouraging. And those guys, I will say this on every podcast if I need to. That review committee is the backbone of our league. They keep things running smooth. They are the ones that make sure that people are held accountable, and that's what keeps the quality of our racing good. You go to another league that doesn't do any kind of penalty system, and I've in rare occasion raced other places, and it's very different. And people that have some experience with that will tell you the same thing.
And just to jump in on that, because actually Donovan Ross, you guys have already seen that interview. So Donovan Ross alluded to it, like he's been muted a number of times, but he made reference to you can tell which mood Roger's in when he comes in the room. Well, that's the last thing you want as an admin. Kicking guys and booting guys and enforcing penalties. I mean, the mute thing is an automatic, it really is an automatic thing, but you don't want that. Some people think a live admin's great. It makes for such inconsistent calls. It's not funny, and it's just terrible. So I think what the system we've got and the work these guys do, where everything is treated the same. There's 3 reviewers on every race.
Sometimes more.
So yeah, and then if there are issues, sometimes they'll escalate it. Like the only time we get involved is if they'll say director's review because it's some egregious thing or something, and they don't call more than a feature EOL. But we're just pressing our hands off. Like it's amazing the work these guys do, and so I put out a cry for help a week ago, because we knew we were falling short, and we had like 4 or 5 guys respond, which was just awesome. So that the wheels are just turning there. The next spot we need to work on is admins. We're starting to wear out the admins, and we're leaning on the same people for too many of the races. So we always want to have a live voice for every session, but we are in danger of that possibly not happening. So by the time you've seen this podcast, I'll have put the cry for help out. But if a few people could respond, you don't have to be like, we won't put you in any position where you're not going to be comfortable or whatever. But there's lots of divisions that need to be done that aren't the higher divisions, and it'll really ease the load on the admins we have right now. So that's something else that just to mention, because and I'm sure the response will be good, because it's just amazing. That we've created this monster or beast that it's just like people come out of the woodwork to help out, and I think they appreciate what's happening, and they want to be a part of a good thing. So it's.
And I'll be the first to tell you, getting involved like that is very rewarding. I remember back when we started reviewing races. I mean, like that was it seems like years ago, but when Roger and I it was just Roger and I, and we were trying to figure out a system, and to look at what I was doing then, and it took me forever to go through. There were some things I didn't know at the time. Roger clued me in to sim racing apps and being able to jump from incident to incident long after I had started. I think he thought it was funny. I don't know. But no. But
I do now.
Yeah, I do now. But I mean, to look where we've come, it's a good system. It's the right system. I understand there are leagues, and you were talking about this. I understand there are leagues out there that make live admins work, but I don't think you can make live admins work season after season with
20 divisions.
With 20 divisions, we've got the right system. We've got great guys working on it, but getting involved. Racing is fun, and that's going to be the most fun you have. But I will tell you, it's not like going to work. It's an entertaining thing. You're involved in the race process, and it's rewarding. And I'll tell you the same thing about admins. I have admin my share of races. I would recommend, if you're going to admin a race that you're not running in, to kind of coordinate which ones those are, and if somebody's interested, I'll give you more feedback about that personally. But it's fun. Like it's fun. You can goof around a little bit with the drivers. Prior to the green flag, Kevin Fry is one that he'll get the guy. He keeps the guys even keel, but he has fun with it. Like he's doing a stand-up routine half the time. Jeff Barker's the same way. One of the driest sense of humors I've ever met. But he is a riot, and he has a good time with it. And
Andy Patton.
Andy Patton, he's another one. Andy's not a talker, but he gets out there and admins, does a great job. And I haven't asked him, but I mean, based on what I know, I would say he enjoys doing it, and he volunteers to do it. So I would, I think so. Those three guys though are getting stuck doing a lot of the work now, and so we just need some other guys to get in here and have a good time with it too.
Yep, and John Hine. You can't forget about John Hine. So, and that's part of John Hine's been down the last few weeks, not well, and boy, do we feel it on the review committee, but we feel it in the admins too. We've been trying to fill in all those spots, and that's really what kind of highlighted it. And I guess the issue is with the review committee now. We have a bench. We don't have a bench for the admins, and
right.
And we keep calling on the same people to help out here and there, and they step up every time, but we can't keep doing that. We do need to get some fresh faces in there and relieve these guys. So, anyways,
and something I'll say, it's a little different with the review committee because you have to kind of keep in constant touch a little bit. But if we were to get enough admins to volunteer, we could work out a rotation system where you might admin a race every other week or something like that.
Yep.
If we can get enough people to step up and say I'll admin a race here and there, then we can make that happen, and it's a little less of a commitment. So the more people, the better.
And take that one step further. If you're shy, like you don't want to do the talk, do the chat, there's other things that we need. So for instance, we have guys showing up in wrong races, or somebody's racing a wrong number, that's an admin nightmare for sure, and a review nightmare when the guys aren't running their number they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
There's other background roles that you don't have to be, in the sim doing it. It's a little bit of legwork that we just frankly don't have time to do, and so consequently we haven't done a great job on it. We had one guy who went from Raiders to Rebels, but was racing in Rustlers, and then showing up and one of our new guys caught it, but we wouldn't have known because there's just so much going on. 300 and some odd members now. We can't keep track of it all. So it's all these little things like that would really make a difference. So, anyways, I think I've covered that off now.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, You got anything else?
I don't. It's been a good week on the track for me. Finally, for a change. A top 10 is victory. So, a hard charger and the skippies going from 31st to 20th really just means that probably 11 guys wrecked in front of me and had to pit or whatever. I don't care. I went from 31st to 20th.
Hey.
So it's all fun, and it's like I say, we have our own group at the back that have a good time. And
well, we talk about that being like an endurance race, and an endurance race is about finishing. So it's not being fast is important if you're going to win, but if you're going to improve your position, passing guys that wreck is a legitimate pass. It's not like you got lucky. because
Yep.
45 minutes is grueling. I mean, I think that's right at that point where, you know,
It is on my kidneys. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, I'll tell you, if you are going to be competitive, and like I had a race, I don't remember, it was Mosport, and Mosport, whatever. I know I always say it wrong.
It's Mosport.
Oh, I got it right, and I doubted myself.
Everybody thinks it's named after Sterling Moss. Moss Corner is, but no, it's Motorsport. That was Mosport.
Got it. Well, anyway, so I mean, I ran up at the front towards the end of that race, and I got finished. And Ryan Beagle has said this before too. You get to the end, and you're like dragging, like you're just out of it. Yeah. Like it'll wear you out. I mean, it takes a lot of, you know, it's a lot of corners over and over and over again. So anyway,
okay, so one other point, a huge shout out to the guys, the matinee guys, today in that 360 race. I'm pretty sure it was that race last week. Second week in a row, we've gone 30 laps flag to flag. And we're talking like 16, 17 guys in the feature, not like 8 or 9. We had, I think, 17 guys and 16 to one, 17 the other. Flag to flag, 30 laps. And that's, I'll tell you that. And you've been in a few flag to flags.
I've been in one. I've only ever been in one. So 2 weeks in a row is crazy. That's really, really impressive.
It was Lernerville, and so that might be one reason why we didn't. Guy goes off the track, you don't necessarily get a caution, but it was Lernerville for me is tense because one mistake, coming out of 4, you hit the wall or you go over the edge or whatever. So by the time you're done, it's kind of like, whew. You don't have that one little, a couple of caution laps to kind of gather yourself. It's just like, pedal down and let's go. It's amazing. But a shout out to all those guys that took part in those 2 races.
Well, I was getting ready to. There were a couple things I wanted to share before we left too. One of them was going to be to remind everybody that anybody can watch the Chili Bowl Nationals for free this year. But that, if you're watching this, that was last night. So if you didn't know that and you missed it, I'm sorry. So anyway,
I just found out, so that's good.
Yeah. So anyway, MAV TV Plus. There's another. There's a late model Winter Nationals or something that goes on. MAV TV has purchased Lucas Oil TV, and they're starting, which was a streaming service, and they're starting MAV TV Plus. So during this transition, which it officially launches yesterday or on January 16th, right? And so it's free for the next 60 days. So check that out. I mean, it's free. You might as well check it out. I do love my subscription to Flow Racing, so I don't know that I won't be just loyal to that. But
but this is the value of listening to the podcast till the end.
Yes,
like important things like this, like
free stuff.
Free stuff. We're giving away free stuff, and now you're telling about other free stuff.
The other thing that I wanted to shout out, and this is a personal shout out, but my dad, who has been racing in Rustlers, I can't keep the division straight anymore.
Yep.
Has been in Rustlers, has transferred out of Rustlers to Raiders the last 3 weeks, and I'm super impressed with that. That's a big feat. So hopefully
I'm calling you out on that.
Why? What did I do?
Because week 2, he transferred, and you sure my dad transferred? I think he finished like 12th or something. And somebody said, no, he finished like P8 or something. But you're almost trying to discredit the poor man.
Now, Roger, what are you doing to me? For one, Dad didn't know that conversation even happened, so we didn't need to make that public.
I'm calling you out on Dad.
I'm pretty sure I thought he told me he finished 12th or something. I didn't just make that information up. I just thought he finished 12th.
No. You know what? Seriously. And he's my partner in the Skippies, the Redneck Racing Team.
Do we want to explain that? Do we want to explain why he's a redneck racing team? Because Roger disparaged rednecks to my father and didn't realize that my father is a self-proclaimed redneck.
So am I. So am I. But that's a different. It was meant in a different connotation. Mm-hmm. With the whole NASCAR thing. And I better.
We need to get you a shovel.
So no, but I am a proud member of the Redneck Racing Team with your dad, and I think we're in 7th in the Constructors Championship now. And he's been doing great. And like I say, seriousness, I'm glad you mentioned that because been watching his continual progress, and yeah, he's not just showing up. He's making moves and really driving. I spot for him a fair amount, and his lines, like he's hitting his marks more. He's driving really, really, really well. So yeah, big shout out to Mike. He's doing better than you actually right now.
Well,
I'm just seeing if you're paying attention.
I'm paying attention. Well, clearly we've talked too much.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So on that note, I think what is the Grand Tour? On that terrible disappointment, we will see you out on the track and back here again next week. Oh, you got something else? Let me guess.
We don't even have an outtake this week.
Well,
we hit our mark.
So I was telling Roger during one of our breaks that my light up here has been flashing throughout multiple interviews now, and I was waiting for it to go out. And I thought, well, this is going to be the best outtake we ever had, and it didn't happen. So anyway, on that terrible disappointment, we'll end the show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We thoroughly enjoyed it.